What's up guys, Freddie here from Points Panda, here to do another pandemic flight review from Orlando to Mexico City via Houston with United Airlines in first class, flying with my dog. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And please, if you really enjoy the videos on my channel, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps support me to make future videos. So first of all, you may be wondering if Americans are allowed to fly to Mexico right now. And I can assure you that the answer is yes. It's only the land borders that are closed. You can still fly in.
Remember, these restrictions are for the land borders only. There are no additional restrictions on air travel between the United States and Mexico.
Now, do I recommend coming to Mexico right now, especially Mexico City? Not really. Almost all tourist attractions remain closed, at least here in Mexico City. But as you guys notice from my accent, I am American. I grew up in Atlanta, but I live in Mexico City. I've lived here for 5 years. So even though I was spending time near Bradenton with family, I decided to fly out of Orlando because there's just so few flights out of Tampa. But most importantly, it was much more expensive. An economy ticket was around $700, where I got this flight for only $366. You may be wondering why I didn't fly direct from Orlando to Mexico City, and the reason is that there are very few direct flights right now from Orlando. And you may be asking why I insisted on business class. It was because I had a dog with me, and more importantly, I had an overweight bag that was 65 pounds. You may be wondering if the pandemic's a good time to use United Mileageplus miles. I would say probably not. The cost per flight, amount of points has gone up quite a bit for most of the domestic and shorter flights. One thing I really liked about this United flight was it's really easy to add a dog or a pet in cabin using United's portal on United's website as opposed to Delta. Plus United only charges $125 for an international flight with a pet, whereas Delta charges $200 for an in-cabin pet. So next I'll talk about my ground experience at Orlando Airport. I got there a little less than 2 hours before my flight, an hour and 40 minutes. As expected, this was already my third flight during the pandemic. I knew no one was gonna be at the airport, and sure enough, when I got there, straight to the Premier line, but it really wouldn't have mattered if I went to the regular economy line. There was multiple employees just sitting around with nothing to do. Unfortunately, the United Lounge in Orlando was closed, so I didn't get access to that. So the boarding process for my first flight, pretty standard of what the airlines are doing during the pandemic. They board back to first. Next, you guys might be wondering if United is blocking seats for COVID-19. As my experience is, no, they're not. First class on both flights was totally full. I took a quick peek in economy. From what I saw, plenty of middle seats were taken. So if social distancing is your concern, you might want to fly with Delta or book an extra seat or book first class, which gives you a little bit of more space between your neighbor. So next we'll talk about my flight experience on the first flight. It was really a really fun flight, actually. I was thrilled to find out that United is serving booze on domestic flights. I also got a nice snack box. It was a little bit lower quality than the one I got from Delta. I actually got the same tapas box. Don't expect too much with food offerings in first class during the pandemic. There's no hot food, there's no silverware, there's no anything like that. They just give you kind of a higher quality snack pack than what they give you in economy. So next I'll talk about the ground experience in Houston. I wanted to use a chance to let my dog relieve himself, and I went to the pet relief area, but granted that it smelled like disgusting urine, he didn't want to pee there, so unfortunately I had to go outside, walk quite a bit to find a little patch of grass, let him do his business, went back through security. And then in Terminal E, I found out that the United Lounge was actually open, yay. And they did have a variety of packaged snacks, like some potato chips, crackers, cookies, but any hot meal service, food service bar, or even the drink machines was all out. And yeah, they didn't have a problem with the dog in the lounge either. Technically it's supposed to stay in the bag, but once I let him out, all the United employees there, they're loving the dog, so that was fun. My next flight was from Houston to Mexico City on an Airbus A320. And this is a very, very short flight. The boarding process, the same as all the flights, back to front, with people with special needs being able to board first, and first class being able to board at any time. So the second flight, I really don't have much to report. There was no alcohol, so there was no drink service whatsoever. They just gave us a bottle of water on request. On this flight as well, they clearly weren't blocking any seats. I mean, first class was basically full. What's called business class, same thing, but that's what they call it for the international routes. And I didn't really take a too good look in economy, but it seemed the flight was pretty darn full. So towards the end of the flight, I was given a health form. It was basically the same form that I filled out online on the way out, which says, you know, I don't have any flu or COVID symptoms and haven't been around any confirmed case. I'll speak a little bit about the immigration process in Mexico City. So unlike the US, there are some extra precautions in Mexico regarding COVID, but not much. You know, they'll take your temperature at multiple points. Another unusual thing they were doing, which I have no idea what it has to do with COVID, is they were checking almost every single person's bag by hand, which sometimes happens for flights to Mexico from places like Colombia and other places that are known for smuggling. But from the US, that was quite unusual, and I don't know why they were doing that. Biggest reason that United, that I took off a lot of points here, was lack of social distancing on the plane. You know, it would have been nice to have a little bit more room. So if you want included social distancing on the airplane as of June 2020, I don't know if I would recommend United. But overall, I give it 85 out of 100. I feel like it was a really good flight. Just a couple final thoughts about business and first class with United. If it's worth it, I would say probably not. The airports are empty, priority boarding, priority check-ins, not really worth that much these days. You go on board, you're not really given that much extra in first class, especially for the international portion. For the domestic portion, it was kind of nice. I got a beer on board, I got a little bit of service, a snack box, but for the international portion, I guess it depends on the flight. And obviously, probably by the time you're watching this, things have already changed. So we're in very fluid times, but I would say right now it's probably not worth it. But I did it anyways because I had the dog. And I've said this in previous videos and articles that business class can sometimes be a form of insurance, in the sense that if something goes wrong, you know, you can go to the lounge and they have a specific agent there that might cut you a favor. You get priority assistance, rebooking your flight, etc. So there's that as well. And you know, of course, there's the seat. You get a bigger seat as well, which I would definitely want with United, because they're really not blocking the middle seats as far as I can tell. I don't want to be crammed like a sardine in economy and catch COVID. Once again, this is Freddie from Points Panda. Thanks so much for watching the entire video. To your left, you'll see a related video, as well as a link to the corresponding article we wrote that goes farther in depth into this topic, and also has the various affiliate offers that we may have mentioned in the video, if there were any. So I'd really appreciate it if you come check out my website. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's got tons of fantastic content, and you can do so by clicking that link to the left. Once again, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys soon.